Station. This is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We're ready for the event, Houston.
WCCO-TV. This is Mission Control, Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Mike Binkley with WCCO-TV. How do you hear me?
Hi, Mike. Welcome to the International Space Station. We hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful. Great to see you both. And Chris Cassidy, I hope you understand we're very proud of our native Minnesotan, so many of my questions today will relate to Karen Nyberg and her Minnesota ties. I got the thumbs up from you. Okay, so let's start with a question to you, Chris Cassidy. How is she doing up there? What does she bring to this team at the International Space Station?
Well, first and foremost, she brings hair. Luca and I, apparently, we don't have any, and she has an abundance of it. So we're very welcome to plenty of hair on board. And her sense of humor and feminine touch is a nice welcome thing up here as well. But we're having a great time, and it's it was nice for me to get companions back up here. It was a period of 2 weeks by myself for a little bit, which was fun, but I was really happy to see Karen and Luca here.
All right, Dr. Nyberg, I know that I've followed you on Twitter, and I see you do get questions about the hair. So let's just address that right now. It looks like you have it tied back just a little bit, but sometimes you just let it go.
Yeah, sometimes anybody who wears a ponytail for a long time knows that it starts to pull on your head and not feel very comfortable. But so I let it out once in a while, and when I wash it, I like to let it dry out. But when I'm working, it's usually best to have it pulled back to some extent.
All right, so let's talk about some of the pictures that you've been posting on Twitter. You've given us some amazing views. I want to talk about one photo in particular, Windows to the World. Describe your view from the International Space Station.
Well, I think that picture kind of describes it pretty well, although pictures never quite show exactly what it looks like. Anybody who's been backpacking and gone up in the mountains, the higher you get and you look out and you just think it's it's unbelievable views, and then you take a picture, and when you show it to other people and try and describe it, it just never looks quite as beautiful. So we have the cupola, which we get, the 360-degree view, and we also have a couple other windows we can look at out the port side on the GEM, and then also the Russian segment. So we have a lot of opportunities and places we can grab a view.
I also want to ask about the sunset view. Apparently you get a few of these a day.
Yeah, we get 16 sunsets a day today, or recently, actually, the way our orbit is flying, we're kind of flying along the Terminator a lot, and so we see almost a perpetual sunrise or sunset. That's mostly what we've been seeing since we've been here.
I saw a great picture of you having breakfast out of a bag, your coffee, and what was it, a scone that you had, a cinnamon scone?
Yeah, that was a cinnamon scone. That was on Sunday morning, and it was a nice, relaxing, get out of bed and have my coffee, and I felt like I was at a coffee house at home. Everything's pretty tasty, too.
I want to ask about your family, too. I know that you had at least one video conference with them so far. I know you have a young child. Is it true that you're actually reading stories from space to him, and what is that like for a child? Maybe to him that seems perfectly normal, but to us that seems a little unusual.
Yeah, I actually recorded some stories before I left for him, but I've been making a quick little video for him every day, about 20 seconds long, and sending it down. And I think it is a little normal for him and doesn't get him. In fact, I had a doll or a stuffed animal that I had showed him. I sent a video down yesterday, and evidently when he watched it, the first thing, he kind of started to cry and said, "I want that one." So it wasn't as impressive that it was in space as I was hoping it would be.
All right, well, I want you to pass the mic back over to Chris Cassidy. I want to ask about the work day. How many hours a day are you actually working, and what type of experiments are you doing at this point?
Yeah, that's a good question. We generally, our work day is essentially from about 7:30 in the morning to 7:30 at night. But during that time, we have a break for lunch and to exercise. Exercise is an important part. So I would say it's probably around 8.5 hours of actual work, just like down at home. And the experiments are vast. There's some that are just kind of going on without us, and we really don't have much interaction with them. There's some that we're involved with setting them up, and once we set the experiment up, it continues and goes on. And there's several that we are the subjects for, such as eating certain foods, which Luca is doing these 4 days right now. He's eating certain foods, and then he'll have some sample blood and urine samples to see how his body's responding to the different levels of protein and potassium in his diet, as well as some ultrasounds that we'll be doing in the near future on our spines. And actually, we have eye exams this week, ocular health and that sort of thing. I personally was involved with some fire experiments. Everybody likes to burn things. Don't worry, it's really safe. There's a small little place where we do that. So those are types of the things that we're doing on the space station, and the workday is much like a workday at home.
And so with these experiments, I mean, how will this advance science? What will we learn at the end of your period up there at the ISS with these experiments that you're doing?
Well, one of the most exciting things for me that I'm personally involved in on this time is the use of ultrasound in applications that would normally be used for MRI, and that has applications for remote regions or countries that aren't as fortunate as ours, where you can just pack in a briefcase-size ultrasound machine and give people the treatment and health care that would be available in larger cities and that sort of thing. And we're practicing and doing that and validating that up here in 0G. Also, the importance of keeping your bones healthy late in life, and the exercise programs and the food regimes that we're doing are helping solve that problem too. So those are things that I think are very applicable to people on Earth and rewarding for us to be a part of.
I want to try and squeeze in a couple more questions for Karen. First of all, we saw the pictures of, what do you call them, fat quarters, floating fat quarters. You're going to be doing some knitting up there?
Actually, I don't knit. My mom does. I never took up that hobby, but quilting. We have spare time on the weekends, just like you do at home. We do Saturdays, spend some time housekeeping, and then after that, some spare time. And Sunday is mostly a day just to do whatever you want, read a book, look out the window, draw, play the piano, anything like that. And I figured that's one of my favorite hobbies on Earth, so I could just as well try it here too.
And I loved the picture that you posted on Twitter of a poster that you had, pardon me, a poster that you had in your room growing up in Vining. Can you talk to me about that and how you went from Vining, Minnesota to the International Space Station?
That's right. My sisters just reminded me recently of a...
This is Houston, WCCO-TV.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.